Hello and welcome to How to Unlock Your Inner Magic to Increase Your Sales. Hi, I am Danny. Welcome to our exclusive masterclass here for September, all around sales. So I'm excited to talk about this just because sales has been part of my life for a very long time. I'm going to share a little bit about that in just a bit. But before we get started, let me ask you something. Well, if my slides would work for me, how would you like to learn how to stop getting those no's, right? How would you like to stop getting those no's? And what would you like to learn, or would you like to learn the secret behind making your sales presentations easy peasy, where you know at the end of the sale, your potential client is like, yes. You guys ready to learn that today? Because that is what we are going to be talking about today. Now, before I get started, I do want to share with you a couple of things first about me, so who I am and why I'm teaching you about sales, and also a couple of housekeeping things. So feel free to, whether you're on the replay or you are live, go ahead and use the comments. Ask any questions that you might have. If you want me to clarify something or dive a little deeper into something, let me know in the comments. I'm absolutely, this is an interaction, it's a conversation, so feel free to share any thoughts or any ahas as well that might come up as we're going through this today. We should go about 50 minutes. I'm trying to keep it about 45 minutes, so I'm gonna go a little bit fast, but that's okay. There will be a replay. So I know oftentimes I'll watch webinars and I don't get all the information. So I always make sure that I send out a replay so that you guys can have the content and review it as many times as you need to. Because sometimes some of these things that we're gonna talk about today, you might want to think about, right? I'm going to challenge you to look at yourself and do some writing and some thinking. So I'm giving you a tidbit of what's going to happen today. So you'll make sure that, you go back if anything is like, I need to dive into that a little bit more. So that's why this is recorded, and so there will be a replay, just so you know. So if you can't stay for the whole thing, no worries. The next thing is that if you registered, you will automatically get that replay sent to you. If not, then you'll have to let me know, and I'll put that information up in a bit so that you can simply just email me and I'll send it over to you. All right, so I think that is our first tidbits there, our housekeeping. And all right, let me go ahead and tell you a little bit about me. So my name is Danny, as I mentioned, and a little bit about my background is I actually have a degree in psychology. So studying the mind, studying how people interact, communication, relationships. This was something that I discovered when I was in college that I absolutely loved. Actually didn't enter college as a psychology major. It actually shifted as I was there, and I started to learn more about myself and more about people in general. And this idea of psychology was like, oh, I think I like this. So I actually got my degree in psychology. I'm a master life coach, master executive coach, hypnotherapist, and master NLP practitioner. So when I say that I enjoy the mind, when I say that I like the mind, it's exactly what I've been doing pretty much all my life, is studying how people tick. I don't know, just something that intrigued me, that it fascinates me, and I love to see how people interact. So that's a little bit about kind of my background. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about the sales part of it, right? Because in sales, I've actually been, I'm the owner of Be Amazing Consulting for the past 3 years. So I've been doing this work specifically for about 3 years. But prior to that, I was in the corporate world. And I was in sales. My original position was in sales. And then I got the opportunity to move into management, where I was able to work with a team and then train all of my team members how to sell. I was actually pretty good at it. Didn't start out that way, but I got that way. And then eventually I moved into training and development. So I was able to then create sales training teach the sales training. And then I was able to even do some one-on-one studies of it, which is how I came about with this idea that we're going to talk about today. So I'm not going to teach you about a process. I want to make that clear. I'm not going to teach you about a structure. I'm not going to teach you any of that because you guys have probably learned that. And if you haven't, then I'd love to share what my process is with you. But this specific masterclass is not about that process. It's about the other side of it. You see, when I was training, when I was teaching these sales, when I was putting out this sales training for people in corporate and the sales teams were coming, I would have people come through, got the same exact training. So it would be the same product knowledge, the same structure, right? The same follow-up system, the same, we would role play, right? We'd have all of these classes around teaching all of these different skills, and each and every one of them had exactly the same process. And then what I discovered is they would go out and they would start selling, right? They would do fine in class, everything was great, but then they were now confronted with a real customer. What happened? Like many of us, we freeze. I can tell you in my early days of sales, I absolutely froze. I would do great in class, but then when I went out there, I would stumble over my words. I didn't know what to say. I wouldn't pick up on the cues, or I wouldn't follow the cues, right? I was doing all of this just like these employees were, right? So they were going out and trying to sell what they had just learned about. And I was confused. I'm like, wait a minute, they're all getting the same training, right? Everything exactly the same. So my little psychology brain was like, I need to do some research. Now, I didn't really like research that much in college, but this part intrigued me. I had a life experience that I could learn more about. So I went out to our different locations and I worked with different sales teams and I worked with individuals one-on-one. And I realized that it wasn't about the process. It wasn't about what they had learned in class. That was part of it. The thing that stopped them from making the sale, for asking for the sale, for any part of that aspect was what I want to teach you guys today. And it is the mindset that comes behind. Specifically, 3 beliefs that if are not aligned are going to derail the conversation from the start, from the middle, or even at the end. If these are not aligned, this is where we get caught up. So that's what I want to share with you today. I hope you guys are excited because I love talking about this. I don't get to talk about sales too much anymore. So when I get to, I don't know if you can tell, I'm like super pumped. All right, so I'm going to shut my camera off so you guys, so I don't get distracted and I don't want to distract you. So I'm going to shut my camera off really quick and then we're going to dive into this content. You guys ready? Okay, cool. All right, now I have one less thing to worry about. All right, here we go. So this idea about mindset, right? It comes down to their beliefs. Now, before we dive into that, I want to talk to you about this idea around we're selling on 3 levels. Sorry, my slides were getting stuck there. We are always selling on 3 different levels. And you've probably heard that we're always selling, right? People like to say that. We are always selling, which is absolutely true, right? Whether you're selling your kids to do their chores, you're selling a friend on a new restaurant, or you're selling a potential client. We are always selling, right? And we sell on 3 different levels. So what I'd like to show you here is called the stick person. Now, we're going back to stick figures for just a second because I am absolutely not a good drawer. And I want to share with you this idea. So I said we're selling on 3 different levels. Number 1, we are selling on the conscious level. This is our thinking mind. Excuse me. Excuse me. We're selling on the conscious mind, which is our thinking mind, our subconscious mind, which is our feelings or our emotions. And then the third part is our action, which is actually our body, okay? So we're selling on all 3 of these levels. Now, if our beliefs are not congruent in all three of these aspects, or the energy that we're sending out is not in alignment with what we believe and what we are saying. So if those two are different, right? What our subconscious belief might be versus what we're actually coming out of our mouth, there is going to be a struggle. There is going to be confusion. There is going to be a bit of chaos within our interaction. And when there's chaos or confusion, the potential seller or potential buyer does not buy. Potential client does not become a client. This is what happens when we are out of alignment. So let's say these two people are talking. This might be you and your potential client. So as you start talking with this person, you start communicating on a conscious level, right? You might remember this or think about this as your that little chit chat in the beginning, right? The very first thing we do in sales is we have to get the attention of our buyer. Oftentimes we think that they've been waiting all day to see us. We've probably been waiting all day to see them, right? They might not be waiting all day to see us. They might be thinking about the kids that they have to pick up from school, or the appointment that they have later, or the laundry that needs to get done, or the date that they might have that night, right? They're thinking about all the other things that are happening in their life. And as a salesperson, we have to go in and immediately grab their attention. And we grab their attention at the conscious level, okay? Then as we're communicating our message, as we're communicating our product or our service, this is where we start to get into more of the feeling aspect. This is in the subconscious mind. Now, our feelings or emotions, all that is the vibration that we're in at that moment, okay? So as we think about the vibration that we're in, if we're in the middle of that conversation and we have this excitement, right? Maybe we're talking to them about their future goals or their future ideals and about the other side of the transformation that your product or service has, right? And we're getting them so emotionally involved in this image, right, that they're creating in their mind. That is the vibration that we're sending, right, in the subconscious level. Now, if that is, we're really pumped for them and we're really involved in that, we're going to be sending that out. Now, if we're not, we're going to be sending something different, which is where a disconnect can happen. And then the third one is the action, right? It's our body. And that is when we are, having them sign the contract, right? Or delivering the product to them, or going over the details of a contract or something, right? This is the action aspect of it. So we are constantly selling on these three levels. And I want to take a moment and talk about this in more of a real life type scenario, because these pictures look great and they tell you a bunch of words, right? But let's go to like a real life scenario that maybe you've experienced recently. Let's say that you're communicating with your friends, right? And you're sharing with them about maybe a restaurant that you just went to and you absolutely enjoyed, and you're telling them all about how great this restaurant is. You start talking to them about the food and the atmosphere and maybe even price, right? Maybe even location, maybe who you were with and how you were feeling, right? You start explaining all of this to your friends, right? About how much you liked this restaurant. Now, you're selling. You're selling them on this idea about this restaurant and about how much you enjoyed it, right? How much you liked it. So let's kind of break that down, what that would look like on these three levels of selling. Now, on the conscious level, you get them interested in the restaurant because you're explaining the food, the atmosphere, you're explaining, the location, you're telling them what it looked like or where it's at. It's on the corner of this and this, right? And then you might move into the subconscious level. Now, this is where you're explaining to them your enthusiasm about the restaurant or your excitement about the restaurant, or you're even going back to that moment and you're thinking about it as and you might be even playing it out in your mind, right? What was going on and the conversation that you were having with somebody who was there, or the waitress or the waiter or something, right? Then on the next level, which is the body, this is where you're showing them your Instagram picture, right? Of the plate of food that you had, or you're going to their Instagram to show them all the different pictures that they have of the atmosphere. Or you go to Yelp, right? And you start looking at different pictures on Yelp, or you send them the directions, right? Because you're like, oh yeah, let me send you those directions, and they're even asking you like, where is it at, and what time are they open, or you're even setting a date. Maybe you're like, hey, let's go, check that restaurant out this next week, or we should go have brunch there, right? This is selling. This is what we were doing. Now, was that hard or difficult in any way? No, we're just sharing with somebody something that we absolutely enjoyed, right? This is selling on all three levels of three levels of vibration. Okay, the conscious level, the subconscious level, and then the body. So this is what happens when we're just talking about a restaurant, but it also happens when we're selling, when we're in that actual sales conversation or sales presentation. But for some reason, and I know this happened for me, was that it was different. I could easily talk to somebody about a restaurant or a movie or somebody else, or I could easily talk to them about those things and sell them on those. But it was really much more difficult sometimes to sell this product or the service that I had. So why is it so hard to do this in a sales presentation? Well, it's because of three things. I'm using a lot of threes today, I just realized. It's due to three beliefs. So earlier I mentioned beliefs behind sales. So we're talking about the mindset behind sales. Now, I mentioned that we're selling on all these three levels. And I also mentioned that we're sending out a vibration. As we're sending out that vibration, it is based on what we believe. So I want to talk about these three beliefs. Number one is belief about sales in general, your belief about your product or service, and number three, your belief about yourself. So I want to dive into these because when these are not aligned, this is where we get that no. This is where we get the not right now. I have to think about it. I need to talk to my husband, or I need to talk to my wife, right? Or not for me, it's not for me, right? We get any version of those. You may have one of these beliefs, or you may have none of these beliefs. But if all three aren't aligned, that's where we have the struggle or the conflict. So let's dive into our first one, which is belief about sales. So as you look at these pictures, what do you believe about salespeople? And if you're on live or you're joining, if you're catching the replay, let me know in the comments. What do you believe about salespeople? Do you believe that they're greedy? Do you believe that they're sleazy or they're out to get you, right? Do you have this belief that they're busy? They're so busy that they don't have time to nurture a relationship, or maybe that their social life is out of whack, right? Or maybe they're only concerned about money, right? What do you believe about sales? What are your thoughts around when you think of salespeople? Now, I can easily go to a particular type of salesperson that always causes an emotion in people, and that is car salesmen. Now, a lot of us in sales like to, depart or detach from car salesmen. We like to say, oh no, those are the, we're not a car salesman, right? We're not like them. Because I don't know if you've had it, but I know I have had many occasions where I've had not so great interactions with car salesmen, and it's been quite difficult. Actually, the past couple of weeks, actually, I've been helping my nephew buy his first car. He's 18 years old, and he's trying to buy a car. And so I was going along with him, just kind of help him out, give him some ideas and some pointers, and just be that support for him. And we ran into some car salesmen that definitely like made me think, oh, sales, salespeople, right? But not all salespeople are created equal, right? We're not all the same. Just because we might be busy and we might be hitting our numbers doesn't mean that we have a horrible family life, or that we don't, have a social life in any way. Because we may do good in sales doesn't mean that we're sleazy, or that we're out to get people, or that we're only in it for the money, right? Now, I know for me personally, it's not about the money at all, right? It's more so about the value that I'm providing, the transformation that I'm able to see in my clients, right? It's definitely, the money is a perk and the money is awesome and great, but that's not my number one focus, right? So what are your beliefs about sales? You might want to take a moment, whether it's now or sometime today, or even if you catch the replay and go back and listen to this, is think about, what do you deep down inside truly believe about sales? Because I guarantee you, on a subconscious level, this is being sent to your potential client. I know that for a while, I struggled with sales because I was constantly focused on this idea of what I thought salespeople were. It wasn't until I switched my beliefs about what salespeople did and who salespeople were, that I was able to then have nice, easy sales presentations or sales conversations with people. So I'm going to show you just a couple of beliefs that you might want to think about as you start to, if you are struggling in this aspect of your beliefs, maybe you want to change, right? Maybe looking at it more as a relationship builder, right? Or that you're selling to people who you're offering them value, right? Like me, that was one of the beliefs that I had to switch in my thinking, was I'm offering people value. I'm offering people something that they need, right? I know who my people are. I know who my potential client is. I know what they need because I listen to them, right? I get to know them. I have this connection and this relationship with them. And so when I have something that they need, I'm able to offer it to them with ease, just like I'm able to offer my friend a new restaurant or to check out a new TV show, right? I absolutely have fallen in love with Ozark on Netflix. And like, I can tell people all day about Ozark too, right? Because it's like such an amazing show. It has so much depth to it, but I love it. The characters, I mean, you're talking to me who loves psychology and loves how people think and work and act, and the relationships. Oh, if you haven't seen it, I'm going to highly, highly recommend checking it out. I don't watch much TV, so if I recommend a show, trust me, it's probably a good one. So, maybe these are some of the beliefs that you might want to take on, right? That I don't even look at sales conversations as sales conversations. I look at them as getting to know somebody, right? I don't look at it as a sales presentation. I don't say, oh, I'm going to have a sales presentation. Oh, we're going to have a right? We're going to have a sales conversation. No, it's like, I just want to get to know you, right? That's it. I just want to offer you some value and connect with you, right? All right, so let's go ahead and look at belief number 2. And remember, if any questions come up for you, feel free to throw them in the chat box. All right, so belief number 2 was belief in product. So do you believe in the product you are selling? Do you believe that whatever it is that you're selling, that there is a transformation that's happening? Do you believe in what that is, right? Your belief has it has to be so strong that it's conveyed to your potential client. Let's go back to that restaurant example, right? When I was sharing my, when you're sharing your favorite restaurant or a new restaurant that you just visited to a friend, you have this enthusiasm about it, right? You enjoyed it so much that they are convinced that they need to go check out this restaurant, right? Because you have expressed that to them. You have sent that through your own vibration to them. So I was telling you earlier about my nephew, right? And how I was helping him this past couple of weeks look for a car and go through that process for the first time. And one of the times we were waiting, for the salesperson to come back with, the numbers and all that good stuff. And so we were chatting. And so I started telling him about my favorite vegan restaurant here in Pasadena that I absolutely love to go to. And he is a straight full-on meat lover. He is not vegetarian or vegan in any way. So for me to talk about how delicious vegan food was like, Nina, you gotta be crazy, right? He's this big, my family's huge meat lovers. So for him, he was just like listening because he's such a great nephew. But by the end of our conversation, I had invited him to come and try this restaurant out with me. And he was 100% down. He literally was asking me, like, when can we go, right? Like, I had expressed my belief about how good this vegan food is, that he wanted to try it, even though he does not like vegan food. He even told me straight out, like, I don't like the vegan meats. Like, why do they try to make vegan meats? Like, that's dumb, right? But I expressed to him how great this was, how good it tasted, and the texture and the flavors all mixed in, that he was just like, let's go, right? So another example is I also mentioned that we have been to car dealerships, right? And this is going to be the flip side. Now, there's a particular car dealership that we went to, and I'm not going to name who it was, but I can tell you it's a pretty popular dealership. And we had a horrible experience. They basically felt like the, like I kind of mentioned earlier with that car salesman attitude of they're out to get me. That's exactly what it was. He didn't let us test drive the car. He wanted to make sure we were approved first, but never explained that to us, right? And so there was all this like conflict and chaos within it, and it was just not a good experience and not very customer focused in any way. And it really like kind of upset me because I'd had an early experience with the same car dealership, which is why I recommended it, which was fabulous. But yet this time I had a very negative experience with it. And so with that, I had been sharing. I actually came home that night and I told my love, like, you won't believe what they did. And right, I'm so angry and upset about it, which then he got angry, upset about it, was like, you should call the manager. And, we're in this like conversation about this dealership, and our emotions were so high, right? We were so frustrated and upset about it. But I transferred that energy to him. I transferred that belief about what happened at the dealership to him. So let me ask you, what do you believe about your product, right? Are you like this guy that's like, yeah, this is good stuff. Yeah, it's gonna work, right? Or are you like Flo? Oh, I went back the other way. Like Miss Flo from Progressive, right? She believes in her product, right? We see her everywhere. She absolutely is like progressive queen. When I thought of like, who is a representative of a brand that like people like, yeah, that she believes in her brand, I thought of Flo, right? Flo believes in her brand, and I believe in Flo because she believes in her brand, right? She believes in progressive. So I want to ask you, what do you believe about your product? Do you believe in the transformation that it provides? Like deep down, gut level, like on that unconscious level, do you believe that it's worth the price? Do you believe that people need it, right? Do you think, oh, this product is oversaturated, right? The market's oversaturated. Everybody is selling this, or everybody has this, right? Do you believe in your product? Do you believe that there's still people out there that need it, right? If you think it's oversaturated, are there still people who potentially don't have it, who still need it? Maybe you're new to selling, right? Maybe this is a new product that you're selling, so you're unsure of it, right? Or maybe you haven't experienced it yet, so it's hard for you to say, yeah, this product works, or this transformation works, or this service works, whatever it might be, right? For a while, I was in direct sales, or you can also, multi-level marketing, right? MLM. And I was selling products, but before I sold the product, I was actually a huge user of this product. Like, I use this product every day. So it was easy for me to sell this product because I would just tell people about how I was using it, right? There was no doubt for me in that product. And as I started to explore new products in their line, I would use it first. I wouldn't, people would ask me like, oh, have you tried this, Danny? And I'm like, no, you know what? Honestly, I haven't. I've heard really great things about it, but I have not used it yet. When I use it, I will let you know, right? I was very honest about it because I didn't know. I didn't have an experience with it. So I couldn't sell it. I could sell the features and benefits of it, like the company told me, right? I could sell what other people had said, but I did not have that true deep down belief. When I did use it, then it was like, oh, well, let me tell you. Let me tell you what I liked and what I didn't like, and how to actually use it. That is when we can sell best. When we know our product, not only the facts about it and the benefits of it, right? The features and all that stuff, but when we've experienced it, we've seen it in our own life, that's when it's just like the restaurant. That's when it's just like the car dealership, right? Or the movie. That's when it's just like when we can go out and share with people. It's because we have this belief in the product. So what do you believe? What do you believe about your product, your service, whatever it is that you sell, right? Even if it is selling to your kids to do the chores. All right, number 3, belief in yourself, right? So let's talk about belief in self, because this one can be where a lot of people tend to get stopped, right? They're like, oh, I've changed my beliefs about sales, Danny. I got it. Like, I know sales is a relationship, and I know all these great things about sales, and I know a lot of great salespeople who are honest, right? All right. And then they're like, oh, I know my product. I love my product. It's great. I've seen the transformation. I've experienced it. I know it works. But then it comes down to belief in yourself. So do you believe in your ability to deliver your product? Do you believe you are worthy of selling or delivering your product? Do you believe in the process, right? Maybe there's a process that happens within your product or service. And do you believe in your ability to be a salesperson? What do you believe about you as a salesperson, right? Earlier we talked about sales in general, but what do you believe about yourself? I was talking to a girl last week, I think it was, and we were talking about sales, and she was saying, well, now I have to sell in my company. The work that I'm doing, they've now asked me, now I have to sell. And I'm like, okay, great. And she's like, but I'm not a salesperson, so this is going to be difficult. I don't know how to do this. Immediately, she already had disconnected herself from being a salesperson. You know how much harder that is for you to sell when you don't believe that you can sell, right? So that was the first thing we had to work on, right? Was getting around that. So our beliefs about ourselves is what stops many of us from getting a yes. So let's go back really quick to that slide. Whoop, not that one. That one. Let's go back to that slide about the stick person. So this is stick person here, right? Where we have the body, the conscious, and the unconscious mind, right? This is our thinking, feeling, and then the action. So let's look at an example when we have a belief about ourselves that is not supporting us. So let's say that we don't believe maybe that we can deliver what our product or service is, or the service level maybe, right? Or even that sales in general. Let's say I have a belief about myself that says, I don't believe in my ability to deliver my service. If I think about, I deliver a service, right? I'm not a product, I'm a service. My coaching is a service. So if I look at, I don't believe in my ability to deliver my service. So I go to a networking event, let's say, and I start talking to someone and they ask me what I do. I start rambling, or maybe I give a vague answer, right? What happened? I'm there to network. I'm there to meet people so I can sell my service, right? What happened internally on an unconscious level is that idea came into my conscious mind about telling this person what I do. But my subconscious belief kicks in. The one that believes I don't believe in my ability to deliver my service. It kicks in and it stops me. So now my body reacts by this rambling on and on about nonsense and probably even diverting the question or giving a very vague answer. So the other person on the other side, right? Now we got the two of us here. Now this person who is listening to me immediately feels that they feel this uncomfortableness. They feel this energy that I'm sending out to them. And they're like, they either want to start talking to like cover up this uncomfortable feeling. They might start talking about themselves, or right, they want to leave the situation. I'm like, oh, okay, that's good. And they see somebody else and they start, walking over to them, right? Have you ever been in that situation where maybe you were on the receiving end of that, where it felt awkward and you're like, this is just weird, and you just want to get out of that situation, right? Even sometimes they might even start asking you questions, like more questions. But then again, the same thing happens. Your subconscious mind kicks in and it stops you. It starts you into this like vagueness again, or this rambling, right? So what do you believe about you? What is the vibration that you are sending out? Is it this confidence about you? Is it this confidence in your ability to deliver your product or service? What do you believe about you, about yourself? Now let's review really quick these three. So number one was belief in sales. So what do you believe about sales in general? Because this is going to be sent out. Remember, we're all energy, right? So as we are going about our day, we're sending out energy to people, especially when we're having conversations with them. And all three of these things, all three of these beliefs on an unconscious level, right? Consciously, I might be saying, I believe that salespeople are amazing. I believe that they are out to do good in the world. But if I truly don't believe that, right, I'm going to be sending that. And that person on the other end is going to feel it. Number two is belief in product. So what do you believe about your product? Do you believe in your product? Do you believe in the transformation it has? And number three, what do you believe about yourself? What are your beliefs about your ability to deliver this, your ability to sell this, right? What is your beliefs? 3 levels. Now, I love this quote, and we're just about done. I'm going to wrap up. Marianne Williamson, you must learn a new way to think before you can master a new way to be. Now, I think this kind of sums up a little bit about what this is, what this month's masterclass is all about. It's all about looking at our beliefs on these 3 levels: belief in sales, product, and self. And if it's not in alignment with how we want it to be, or how it needs to be in order for us to be in sales, right? Or to deliver this product or service that we have, then there's no way for us to do that, right? We can't master a new way to be. We have to first master a new way to think. Now, I want to thank you so much for staying through till the end. And since you did that, I'm going to offer you a very, very, very special offer. And I'm not selling you anything, so please don't think I'm selling you anything. I'm not. What I am doing is I am offering a free 50-minute session to review your sales conversation. I have found that although we have been taught a process, these unconscious level of beliefs come out, or sometimes we don't even know, we don't even maybe have a particular process to follow, or maybe we just need somebody on the outside to kind of take a look at our sales process and say, hey, does this flow right? Does this sound right? Is this working right? I know when I was in the direct sales industry, I was constantly hearing from my upline, right, about, you know, how to sell and how to do this, and I'd watch them, and right, and they would watch me and they'd give me feedback, but they were in the business, so sometimes they missed things, right? When I got a coach outside of my company, it like opened me up to be like, oh wow, they saw something completely different than my upline had seen before, right? Because they are putting new eyes on what you're doing, right? So in this 50-minute session, we are going to talk about your sales conversation. So you'll kind of pitch me your sales conversation. We'll work on, I'll share some actionable tips with you that you can implement immediately to kind of tweak some things. A lot of the times it's just a little tiny tweak. I'll also teach you a sales process that flows with ease, that's really easy to follow. It's the one I use. It's the one I taught for many years. And also teach you some tips on overcoming objections, because when this sales process is done right, we actually don't have to deal with too many objections. But if we do, I'll share some ideas and tips with you around that. So if you are interested and you'd like somebody to kind of look at your sales presentation from the outside, I'd love to do that. And you can do that by going to www.thepeaceteacher.com/bonus call. And this is available, I think there's slots open for the next couple of weeks. I don't do this generally very often, so if you are interested in getting one of those sales, I love to talk about sales, and I'd love to share any advice and tips that I absolutely can. Be sure and hop on over and do that. The next thing is, so if you are new here, if this is your first time, so this is a masterclass that I do every month. It's different every month, and it's part of the Empowered You community. You can also find us online. The Empowered You community is all about a community of people who are learning and growing, who want to honor who they truly are, be their best self, align their core values. I share strategies and tips over there. In the group, I do weekly Facebook lives on different topics. So you can hop on in over there and join us. And then also this masterclass will, a new one actually for October, is scheduled in person. So if you're local here in Pasadena, there is one on October 10th, and there's also the next virtual one just like this on October 24th. Again, there's info actually at thepeaceteacher.com. You can go to the website and actually get some more information on those that are coming up. And this next month, it's going to be all about manifestation. Manifesting 101. We're going to be talking about how to attract more abundance in your life. So I'm excited for that one. All right, that is it for us today. Thank you so much for joining. Again, my name is Danny. I am the Peace Teacher. You can find me at thepeaceteacher.com. And if you would like that bonus call, 50-minute free session to review your sales conversation, I would absolutely love to review that with you and chat. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me or leave them down in the comments. All right, have a great rest of your day, and remember to be you and to be amazing. Bye.